If you've ever felt like building a fantastic looking physique that you can be proud of was extremely hard or even next to impossible, then this video is for you. It's 2025. The scent of change is wafting in the breeze, and the majority of people are motivated and driven to go set some new goals for the upcoming next year. And they're thinking, how can I actually improve my life going into the next 6, 9, and 12 months? Some of you might be thinking, I don't like how I look, but I want to like how I look. I want to change my outward appearance. I want to build some muscle. I want to drop some fat, but I just don't know where to start. Well, fret not, gentlemen, because I'm going to be going over some of my unconventional, but also easy to implement strategies that are going to be fueling my 2025 transformation in the next coming year. Things that are going to lead to more energy, more discipline, and hopefully more results than ever before. And hopefully you can glean some value from what I share so that you can fuel your 2025 transformation as well. The first pillar, the first key to building a fantastic looking body in 2025 is going to be your sleep. Sleep, deep restorative rest. This is your fucking foundation, my dude. If you are underslept, it will be harder to gain muscle, easier to gain fat, and overall just make it more difficult to make progress, not just in the gym, but also outside of the gym as well. When you get down in your bed and you sleep deeply for 7 to 11 hours a night, depending on what your body may need, you are recharging your battery pack for the day, but you're also recovering from the previous day's activity. If you just hit a hard workout, you had a long, stressful day at work, you are going to be undoing all that muscle damage, that oxidative stress. You're just gonna be washing the slate clean so that hopefully you can wake up the next day and do it all again. But if you go to bed and you only get 4 hours of sleep and you wake up the next day and you are tired and you are underslept, you are leaving so much progress on the table. You're not gonna build as much muscle as you could. You're not gonna drop as much fat as you could as well, but also you're just gonna live the next day in a suboptimal state. You're not gonna have as much mental clarity. You're not gonna have as much energy. You're not gonna feel as present and at peace in your body, and you are going to have more anxiety. Now, you can live life with anxiety and you can live life not feeling peaceful in your body, and it's not necessarily gonna directly inhibit muscle growth, but this is just a lifestyle change that you're gonna wanna make for every area of your life, not just for your 2025 transformation. If you don't get enough sleep, it will greatly hamper your performance in the gym. It will greatly hamper your ability to lose fat. So principle number 1 is make sure you get enough sleep in 2025 every single night. Now, how are you supposed to get good sleep? Because sometimes you'll lay down at night, you're like, it's my bedtime, I should get to sleep, I have to get up early for work in the morning, but I don't know, bro, like I'm just not tired. Like I'm exhausted from the day, but I just cannot find it in me to fall asleep. Sleep is one of those funny things because you can't really just force it, but there is a couple strategies you can do. There's some do's and some don'ts when it comes to getting a deep restorative night of sleep. Even if you do all the do's correctly, if you get the don'ts wrong and you do the things you're not supposed to do before bed, it doesn't matter how many good things you implement, your sleep is going to be fucked. Make sure you avoid caffeine at least a good 9 to 11 hours before bedtime, because if you're getting caffeine close to bedtime, it doesn't matter how tired and exhausted your body actually is, the caffeine is going to block your ability to feel tired. Your brain's gonna think, no, but I have enough energy, and you're not gonna be able to get to bed on time and experience a deep restorative night of sleep. Avoid blue light, make sure it's, you're not being hyper stimulated mentally speaking. Don't be playing a bunch of video games, playing loud music. You want to create the environment where your body and brain just feels nice and chilled out and relaxed so that you can drift off into slumberland with zero resistance. Now, for the do's when it comes to sleep, there isn't a whole lot of things you really need to do. Just make sure you keep your room very, very nice and cool. If you want to try out some supplements that might help with your sleep, a warm cup of chamomile tea can be very beneficial. I found a lot of utility in using chamomile tea before bed. Really just knocks you out and gives you a nice, deep slumber the next evening. Magnesium is also very, very beneficial. I recommend pretty much everybody to supplement with magnesium. I think it's a crazy stat, like 96% of the American population is deficient in magnesium. So I would highly recommend that you get your levels checked, or just supplement with it with a highly bioavailable form of magnesium and see if your sleep improves. So that's all I'm gonna say as far as sleep goes, but it's super important. So even rewatch this segment of the video if you need to, because we need to get this hammered into your head that sleep is super important, and sleep is my main focus going into 2025 when it comes to my physical transformation. Now, the next part is if you're gonna wanna see very, very good progress in and out of the gym, you do need to be very, very intentional for every bit of food that is going in your mouth. Now, if you have 5-10 pounds to lose, maybe even 20 pounds, you need to make sure, and this is the most important part, so listen very carefully because I'm only gonna say it once. Calories in, calories out. If you need to lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds or however much weight it is that you want to drop and melt off your body, you do need to be very intentional with what you're eating, because it doesn't matter how clean you're eating. If you are overeating calories, even if they're healthy or clean, you will store that as body fat. So the most important thing is the calorie deficit. You do need to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat. And that means you need to track what you're eating, because if you're not tracking, you really don't, fat loss is going to be all over the place, and you're going to go for a month, you're like, why haven't I seen results? It's like, you don't know what's going in your mouth. So how would you know how much fat you're supposed to be losing per week? Now, after you've got the calorie deficit dialed in and you're consistently losing fat, it would be wise, and this is what I'm doing, making sure the majority, if not all, of your calories come from very, very high quality organic whole foods. I'm sure there's people out there that can get ripped eating McDonald's and eating Twinkies and eating Oreos if you control for the calorie deficit. But if you're eating organic, whole, highly unprocessed foods, your energy levels are gonna be better. You're just gonna feel better in your body. You're gonna experience less anxiety. You're gonna have more mental clarity. Just every facet of your life is going to be improved. Every cell in your body is made of what you eat. So think about the quality of what your cells are made of and the fuel that you're putting in your body. It's going to keep you fuller for longer, and that is going to contribute to you having an easier time sticking to that calorie deficit that you've set for yourself, so that it's easier and more streamlined losing fat. Make sure you're sticking to the calorie deficit. Make sure, if you can, that the majority of your foods are whole, highly unprocessed foods. That is going to be very beneficial for you. And then thirdly, this is just something that I'm personally doing. This is not mandatory in the least, but I prefer doing a lot of fasting. Intermittent fasting is very, 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 very beneficial, especially when you're trying to hit a calorie deficit. Because if you're eating 6 meals throughout the day, but you're only giving yourself the room to eat 1,800 calories, that's like 300 calories a meal. Like, how the fuck are you gonna swing that? But if you're only eating 1 or 2 big meals a day, that's like 1,000 calories per meal. You have so much wiggle room as long as you hit your proteins, as long as you hit your healthy fats and all your micronutrients, because you're eating whole foods. Dude, these meals are gonna feel like fucking feasts. But you're still in a calorie deficit, but you feel like you're eating like a king. So you don't have to. You can do the 4 to 5 meals a day if that's what works best for your physiology and what makes you feel best and what fits the best into your schedule. But I would highly recommend you try out intermittent fasting, especially if you are trying to lose 10 to 20 pounds of fat in 2025. That's just what I'm personally doing, and it seems to work best for my lifestyle and goals. Third thing is in the gym. So now that we've covered sleep, and now that we've covered what you should and shouldn't be eating and how you should be eating it, now we're gonna talk about the fun stuff, which is the gym. In the gym, you go in, what the fuck are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to use that machine? Are you supposed to do calisthenics? Are you supposed to use the barbell? Who knows? Well, what I'm gonna be doing is focusing on compound lifts and progressive overload. I'm sure you've heard this 100 times, but if you're not on steroids, you need to get stronger. Your muscle has no reason to grow if you are not consistently getting stronger on key compound movements. A compound movement is simply a movement that utilizes multiple muscle groups over the movement. So things like a deadlift, things like a squat, bench press, pull-ups, chin-ups, barbell rows, any type of movement that utilizes multiple muscle groups at once during the range of motion. And then utilizing these movements, you want to be getting stronger on them over time. This does not mean that you need to blow out your back and ego lift and do all this dumb shit that's going to hurt you. Start very, very light, but consistently as the weeks go on, using correct form, get stronger on these lifts over time. That could be as simple as if you hit 8 reps with a certain weight on the bench press for this workout, next workout, still using correct form, go for 9 reps if you have the energy to do it. If you push the envelope very, very hard consistently, month after month, year after year, you are going to look phenomenal. Because a great body is not built overnight. This is consistently doing the boring things over and over and over and over and over, and you're gonna wake up in 15 years and you look like a fucking god. So compound movements and progressively get stronger on them over time. Overload your system with heavy shit. Now, how many times should you do this? Should you do it once a week? Should you do it 10 times a week? Well, what I feels the best for my physiology, and this is what I'm doing and what I would recommend you to experiment with as well, is 3-ish workouts a week. Now, sometimes I'm very low energy and I'm busy and I have all this shit going on, so it might only be once or twice a week. Other times, I'm being very, very disciplined with avoiding my sexual vices and, not spending a lot of time around beautiful women that are trying to suck my energy out of me. I might be able to work out every single day because I just have so much testosterone and energy built up inside of me. So I want to go smash the weights every single day. But a good sweet spot is 3 to 4 days a week. Be very, very intuitive with this. Hit a good 2 to 4 workouts a week, hit it hard, and then get the fuck out of the gym. Make sure you're hitting the compound movements, progressively getting stronger. Do it 3 to 4 times a week, and then see how you feel. If the next week you only need to hit the gym 2 times a week because you're just exhausted and you need that extra day of recovery, by all means, take that day off the gym and see what works best for your body so that you're healed by the time you're hitting the next workout. But if you wake up and you worked out for the past 2 days and you wake up today and you're like, listen, I know I should probably take a rest day, but I feel fantastic and I have all this energy, then by all means, go into the gym again and smash those weights. See if you can put some numbers on the bar. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is there are a few muscle groups that are very commonly overlooked. Of course, 80 to 90% of your results are going to be coming from getting very, very strong on the key compound movements. But there are a few muscle groups that are very, very commonly overlooked that if you don't do them and you don't train these muscle groups, it's not gonna be a big fucking deal. But if you do take the little bit of time and push the intensity on these lifts, just at least once or twice a week, your physique is gonna go from pretty damn fucking good to fucking phenomenal. So these muscle groups are your neck, your abs, your rear delts, your glutes, and your forearm. Now, the first 3 I mentioned are the most important, and the reason is because the glutes and the forearms typically are hit pretty well through most of your pulling movements and most of your leg movements. If you're doing a squat or a deadlift or a Romanian deadlift or a hack squat, you're hitting your glutes pretty damn good. If you're doing curls and reverse curls and chin-ups and pull-ups and barbell rows, your forearms, even if you don't have very good genetics for your forearms, still are gonna get hit pretty fucking good. So I would highly recommend for the first 3, your neck, your abs, and your rear delts, hit them directly at least once a week, twice a week if you can, and a thick neck and a big rounded shoulder because you're training your rear delt and then also your abs. If you train these muscle groups, this is going to give you a very, very, very aesthetic, masculine look that you simply cannot fake. This is the look that most people on steroids get because when you're injecting anabolics into your rectum, these muscle groups like your neck and your rear delts and your abs naturally just blow up because you're very, very lean and you start to have high androgen receptor density in these areas of your body. But as a natural, it might be harder to grow these muscle groups. So consistently over the next year, if you make these muscle groups a priority along with the compound movements, this is just the perfect balance and your physique is going to be phenomenal. For example, I slacked on rear delt training for years. I slept on that shit. But just in the past 3 months, I've been doing a lot of rear delt flies on the machine, simply just like doing that movement like 2 or 3 drop sets 2 to 3 times a week. My shoulders have they look literally twice as big, even though I've only been training them for like 3 months like this. So I would highly recommend to do movements that train those 5 muscle groups: the neck, the abs, the rear delts, the glutes, and the forearms. Now, number 5 is incorporate lots of activity. One thing that I'm doing, because of course I'm trying to be in a calorie deficit is created by 2 things. A limitation of what you are putting in your mouth. You're eating less food than you should, but also you're moving more than you typically would. So that doesn't mean that you need to go run on the treadmill for 4 hours a day. It just means that whatever amount of activity you were previously doing, increase it just a little bit. As long as you're not sitting down on a chair or being hyper still, anything is game. You can go on a walk, you can go for a swim, you can go on a bike ride, you can go on the treadmill. Heck, you can even sit down on a chair and jabber your jaw at a camera and talk to invisible people that don't exist because you're lonely and you're sad and you want people's validation. And guys, no, but seriously, basically just move more. Whenever you move, even in the slightest, you are burning more calories per day, and every single calorie is going to add up and is going to make a difference in your progress in the next 3 to 6 months. Incorporate more activity. It's going to speed up your fat loss very, very significantly. Point number 6, I almost didn't want to bring it up because, of course, I always bring up this point, and it's almost a little bit like, yeah, duh, by this point. But something I'm going to be focusing on a lot more in 2025 is being very, very disciplined in limiting my sexual vices. Semen retention is so powerful for you as a man. I don't care whether you're single or you have a girlfriend, but just when you start to phase these things out of your life slowly, I'm not saying you need to be a celibate for the rest of your life, but when you start limiting your consumption of explicit adult material on the internet, you know, you're not overindulging in intimacy with your girlfriend or, you know, the beautiful women you have in your life, you start to realize that you have so much more energy, so much more discipline, so much more drive, and just like a turbocharged battery pack towards your goals. As long as you're doing everything else correctly, it's not mandatory, but if you want to get that extra little cherry on top, you want to turbocharge your results, you want to have that extra battery pack of energy and vitality to spend in building your body and transforming your physique, I would highly recommend you start limiting your sexual vices. If you're engaging in this stuff 5 times a week, maybe limit it to once or twice a week. If it's only once or twice a week, limit it to once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks. Just be mindful with how you're spending your energy, because if you are mindful with it, you're gonna have better workouts, you're gonna feel stronger in the gym, you're gonna have more willpower and discipline to stick to your clean diet, you're gonna be more disciplined with going to bed on time, waking up earlier. And this is just personally from my anecdotal experience, but also from hundreds of thousands of men around the world as well. Simply just go on YouTube, click on some other schmuck's video, go watch my past videos, go on Reddit and read the results of people engaging in this practice of semen retention and celibacy. It cannot be faked. And even if it was all fake, if you try it and you see the results of it, it works. So I would highly recommend for you to experiment with this stuff and see if it turbocharges your results in 2025 as well, so that you can transform your physique and build the body that you can be proud of, man. Now, a lot of you guys, before you click off this video, you're like, wait, why didn't he talk about supplements at all? The reason I don't want to talk about supplements is because supplements tend to be a very, very individual type of thing. I have a lot of different supplements, minerals, vitamins, herbs that I personally do feel a lot of benefit from, but I'm very, very hesitant to recommend a specific herb or a specific supplement or a specific nutrient or chemical compound to each individually one of you, because the reactions really just depend on your personal physiology and what you might be deficient in and what your goals may be. For example, I love the herb ashwagandha, and I used to use it all the time, but personally for me now, I don't actually use it anymore because it doesn't really align with how I want to feel on a daily basis. Whereas some people will try it and they'll hate that herb. Other people will try it and they'll love it. So for all the supplements that I take, I can recommend them to you as kind of like a guideline for things you may want to experiment with it, but you're going to have to take it with a grain of salt. So maybe in a future video, I'll go over my current supplement stack and break down why I'm taking each individual ingredient and what the benefits may be to you. Yeah, and that's the short list of everything that I'm doing in 2025 so that I can make more progress in the gym and out of the gym than I've ever made in my entire life. If you would like some more help making these changes and making some progress on your body, make sure to follow me on Instagram and we'll see if you're a good fit for the program to work with me. Instagram will be linked below if you are new to the channel. My name is Andrew Knight and I regularly post videos about all things pertaining to your fitness, mindset, and motivation. Brother, I will see you in the next one.